Yeah. so, my top 14 list of favorite 2020 stuff I watched. Things that I saw with these eyeballs are as follows. Number 14. Defy Blood! So, Spike Lee, look, I have never been a fan of Spike Lee, and to be honest with you, his films as a whole have been problematic. Obviously, he has like a masterpiece or two, or extraordinarily commendable film here or there, but I've never been a fan of Spike Lee. But I thought that Black Klansman was a extremely solid return to form. Fucking love that movie. And Defy Bloods, even though I gave it an 8 out of 10, there's just something about this film that is just like, if this film was a burger, it is one of the strangest and tastiest burgers I think I've ever had. The usage of fictionalized Spike Lee joint footage stitched with real life archival footage from real life wars is so eerie, so thought provoking. I feel like this movie starts as like this Spike Lee version of The Goonies, and then out of nowhere the film, like midway through, just like completely loses his fucking mind, and Spike Lee just uncorks the violence and psychoticness. And honestly, the last like 40 minutes of this thing is at number 13 we have Birds of Prey, which I gave a 9 out of 10. First off, I get that some people are going to be like shell-shocked that Birds of Prey is on here, but here's the thing. Number one, the marketing. I think the marketing for this movie is like 95% of the reason why most people even forgot this movie existed. But honestly, I saw this movie with lower than dirt expectations, and I loved this movie. This movie is so absurdly violent. It can be like so whiplash-inducingly dark and hilarious at the same time. I think Margot Robbie is just fantastic in the title role. All the performances I thought were solid. And here's the thing. The movie is so much fun. Some people are going to be like, you put Birds of Prey on there? It's so much fun. How could you put Birds of Prey on there? Isn't that a terrible movie? It's so much fun. If you were looking for a piece of cinema that felt like it was literally directed by literal Harley Quinn, look no further, fam. Number 12. Lee Winnell's The Invisible Man, which I gave a 10 out of 10. This is another film where, like, honestly, I feel like if it wasn't for COVID, there'd be much more conversation about this film. But honestly, this movie coming out and COVID pretty much happened like at the same time. It's minimalistic in a few ways. It's simple, but oh my God, there's something so viscerally effective about this film. It could be the extraordinary lack or restraint when it comes to CGI. It could be the fantastic performances, especially from our lead. But there's just something genuinely atmospheric about this film. There's something genuinely creepy about this film. There's something ultra modern and yet perfectly pays homage to past iterations of Invisible Man with this one movie. Like, I swear, even like the opening credits to this film with the water, you know, with the crashing of the ocean waves, like it feels iconic. The score is fan-fucking-tastic. It kind of gives me, it kind of reminds me of Alice Garland's Annihilation score. I loved this thing. I was beyond creeped out. I thought that the cinematography and camera work was off the charts ingenious. I really love this thing. And to think that Lee Winnell is doing the Wolfman. And at number 11, we have HBO's Lovecraft Country. Oh my god, which I gave a 10 out of 10 to. I loved every inch of Lovecraft Country. I mean, from referencing H.P. Lovecraft type of spacecraft to monsters with tentacles or entities with tentacles, or you know, just the blood, the gore, showcasing the racism of the times with like sundown towns, the sci-fi elements, the fact that they fucking shout out Sun Ra. Jonathan Majors is revelatory in the lead role, and apparently I'm not the only person who thinks so. There's so much creativity injected into this thing that it's just staggering. It's just staggering, okay? And literally, the final image of this thing shot chills and shivers like and goosebumps just throughout the entirety of my body. At number 10, we are going to go with What Did Jack Do? from David Lynch. So this is a short film that was directed by David Lynch. I gave this a 10 out of 10, and this bad boy is literally only 17 minutes long. The plot to this is a detective played by David Lynch interrogates a monkey who possibly committed a murder. This literally is one of the trippiest, one of the most mind-fuck-inducing, one of the most hysterically hilarious short films I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't really know how to explain this film, and I'm not even entirely sure what the fuck is happening, but it is so hilarious, whether you are sober, whether you are drunk or high off your ass, whether it's just you, or whether it's just you and a gang of soon-to-be initiated motherfuckers watching this film. This thing is a blast from second one to its final second. Okay, and at number 9... I'm Thinking of Ending Things from Charlie Kaufman. Which is a film that I gave a 10 out of 10 to. The performances from Jesse Buckley and Jesse Plemons are they are just purely outstanding. I don't know that this is the most complex film from Charlie Kaufman, but I feel like that this must be the most abstract, certainly visually abstract film I think we've received from Charlie Kaufman. Like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, it's got to be his most, most romantic. Synecdoche, New York, has got to be his best form of like. Synecdoche almost feels like a mindfuck blockbuster film, almost like Charlie's version of Inception or something like that. Despite the fact that honestly, this film is mostly just like a car ride, the house, the school, the end. but like, oh my God, there are so many ways to interpret what's happening. The entire film feels like one long nightmare that just got plucked out of Charlie's head, inspired by this book. And if that doesn't make you want to watch, if that does not make you want to run out and watch this film, my nigga, I literally don't know what else to tell you. And at number 8. At number 8, we're going to go with Vivarium, the Jesse Eisenberg film, which I gave a 10 out of 10 to. Guys, first off, Imogen and Jesse are so convincing. They are so scarily real, and it is best not to know anything about this film going in, or at least it's best to watch this movie without seeing a plethora of images or trailers, because I saw this film without knowing anything about it, without seeing any trailers, and not only, first off, this is, in my opinion, this is the scariest film of 2020. Not since like Hereditary or something has a film so viscerally scared the living piss out of me. Like, this movie creeped me out and disturbed me to a degree that I wasn't even aware was plausible. Like, this movie was so irritable. I almost wasn't even sure if I could finish it. And honestly, by the time I got to the end credits of this movie, like, I felt like I watched a series of truly cursed images. Holy shit, this movie's fucking terrifying. Number 7. Number 7, The Queen's Gambit. Anya Taylor-Joy was perfectly cast for this show. I was about to call it a film, but to be honest with you, it really is like one long film. I started watching episode 1, and then before I knew it, like, literal hours had went by. I think I smashed out this show in T-minus like 1 or 2 days. Like, relentlessly, infectiously addictive shows I've ever seen. Like, this was such a binge-worthy show. It is so addictive. Anya Taylor-Joy turns in a career-marking or turning performance here. Like, she is outstanding. She is carrying this entire show on her shoulders, and she does it remarkably well. This show was so good, dog. It had me borderline almost buying a chess set and playing chess. That chess matches were like action sequences or like David Fincher level moments of suspense is out of control crazy, okay? The fact that I related so much to the main character, hell, even her younger self, played by whatever kid actress that was. I don't know who that was, but the child actress that we stick with for a bit, who's a younger version of Anna Taylor-Joy's character. Like, even she was amazing. Like, even her scenes were incredible. Number 6. Alex Garland's Devs. I gave a 10 out of 10. I'm gonna have to give this like a more formal review coming up, but Devs is just it's just a landmark sci-fi show in my opinion. I get that this show came in and left quietly, but the marketing was atrocious. But like even Stephen King fell in love with this motherfucker. Okay, this is easily the best sci-fi show of 2020. One of the best sci-fi shows I've ever seen. If you are a fan of anything Alex Garland, this is a must-see. The performance from our leading lady is beyond incredible. Like, it's like stupefyingly good. The music is to die for. The complexity of this thing is otherworldly. Like, there are scenes that are so intricate and thought-provoking and mind-bending that, like, I almost felt like I was drooling on myself sometimes while watching this show. 10 out of 10. Okay? If you want to know what it feels like to have your brain kicked into the fucking stratosphere, something experimental, something unorthodox, something beyond weird, this is the show for you, my friend. Okay, so for number 5, we gotta go with Derek Cianfrance's I Know This Much Is True, starring Mark Ruffalo. 2 Mark Ruffalos. That's right. Mark Ruffalo has a twin brother in this show, so there's 2 Mark Ruffalos. And trust me, it gets way weirder than that. So yeah, this show is a 10 out of 10. This show was an automatic watch for me because of the director. He's one of my all-time favorite directors. For example, Blue Valentine, honestly, it's probably top 5, top 10 best romance films ever created, in my personal opinion. Place Beyond the Pines is one of the most devastating, somber, just honestly one of the most astonishing movies I've ever seen. And I could throw out statements like that for almost pretty much everything that this motherfucker's done, okay? Alex Garland made a TV show for the first time ever, and now Derek Cianfrance has made a whole show. When I found out that he made a show, I was like, him making a show? Like, what the fuck would that even seem like? Wow! Oh, yeah. Every shot feels like some haunted Polaroid picture. Color palette, the cinematography is so unusually haunting. This show is so dark that, and it takes a lot for me to say this, but for a fictional show, this might be the most fucked up / darkest show I've ever seen. And that it takes a lot for me to say that, especially after having seen the incredibly grim The Leftovers from Damon Lindelof. But like, this show is so heart-achingly poetic. It is so skull-fuckingly dark. It is acted so well that sometimes, like, I don't know. Number 4, we have to go with a video game by the name of The Last of Us Part 2, which I gave a 10 out of 10 to. I think The Last of Us Part 2 has shown us that, like, there will be a day where there are VR movies. There will be a day where there are these, like, video game and movie-like hybrids that could prove to be more enticing and more worthwhile than how we consume 2-hour movies in today's time, stretching back a century. I mean, I didn't realize I could feel genuine hatred from a video game. I wasn't aware that I could be depressed from a video game. That I could be enraged from a video game. That I could be mind blown and I can have my emotions just thrown all over the place from a video game. Finally finding out where Ellie and Joel ends up, the answers to what happens to them, where they've been, where did their lives lead them to, the answers to these questions are among some of the most terrifying and emotionally wrecking answers I've ever received from fictional storytelling. Number three, we are going to have to go with Mank, David Fincher, which I gave a 10 out of 10 to. Simply put, this is a sun-kissed cinematic masterpiece that is both a middle finger and a heartfelt love letter to aspects of 1930s Hollywood. I mean, the lighting feels like Kubrick level perfect. I mean, it just my brain is having problems trying to articulate just how perfect this movie is. Like, I love this movie. It grows on me with each watch, which is quite saying something considering on my first watch I gave it a 10 out of 10. Okay, boys, and now it's down to the top two. And number two, from James Fox, which is a documentary, a UFO documentary that I'm giving a 10 out of 10. Actually, as a matter of fact, no. This is not a 10 out of 10. This is a 11 out of 10. James Fox has been working on this UFO documentary for, I believe, like 7+ years. Like, James Fox has stated that he has been obsessed with making one UFO documentary that was seminal video event for UFO documentaries. Like, he really wanted this to be like the mother of all UFO documentaries. I think people who are obsessed with I think that some people who are obsessed with UFOs that did not like this documentary are grossly misinterpreting this documentary. This documentary is meant to be like the mother of all UFO documentaries to end UFO documentaries. Like, whether you are well educated about UFOs or whether you really know fuck all about UFOs, this was meant to enthrall both parties, to satisfy both parties. And I think it does that beautifully. And let me tell you something, not only is this one of the most entertaining documentaries that's ever been created, this is, and I'm coming to you as a huge skeptic, this is the most convincing UFO documentary that I have ever seen in my entire life. There is one moment where you're hearing a radio broadcast from like the 40s or the 50s, and you're hearing Ken Arnold talk about his UFO sighting, and the music and the sound of his voice is so of the times from the 40s. Like I just remember just looking up in wonderment, and for once being like, dog, what if there really is something out there for real on some real shit? I have watched this documentary multiple times, okay? The amount of fucking research I've done into this is unspeakable, okay? I've done UFO research before, sure, but never like this before. And I keep waiting for something to be like, this documentary is full of shit. And I still have not found that thing. The more I research, the weirder it fucking gets.
People need to know there is something else out there.
At number 1. My favorite thing that I watched, my favorite thing that I saw with these eyeballs in 2020 was, at number 1, we have Tenant from Christopher Nolan, which I gave a 10 out of 10 to. I knew that there was something special about Tenant when, in 2019, with certain IMAX showings of The Rise of Skywalker, there was a 6-minute exclusive clip from Tenant. And I got to watch the 6 minutes in IMAX. Until this day, it is the most mind-fucking thing I've ever seen in theaters. Like, I obsessed over the prologue to Tenet. I mean, I watched the prologue to Tenet without knowing anything, and I was completely gobsmacked. I literally have never seen anything like that before. I've never been immersed by imagery like this before. I've never been transported elsewhere, like watching this film in IMAX. I saw this movie 3 times in IMAX outside of seeing the Tenet prologue in IMAX. And I mean, for God's sakes, Tenet has my favorite music of 2020. It's my favorite action film of all time. To me, this is the first example of a cinematic optical illusion, which was directed by Christopher Nolan, my favorite living filmmaker. If that doesn't solidify itself as number 1, if that's not sensible to you, I don't know what else to tell you, because Tenet was the best goddamn thing that these goddamn eyes saw from last year. But what about you? What were your favorite TV shows from 2020? What's your top list of favorite movies from 2020? And simply put, what was the best shit that you saw in 2020? Was it a video game? Was it a book? Was it a graphic novel? Was it a movie? Was it a TV series? Tell me what you think. Let me know down below. I gotta get the fuck out of here.